telling me. I'm saying as far as I can remember.
Yes,
That
but-
is what she was telling me.
Was in her evidence before the commission on Tuesday, she said that's not what she told you. She was invited, or she was in Johannesburg or in the Gauteng area to meet with the president of the country at the time, which is President Zuma. Do you know anything about that?
No, Chairperson, I am saying, as far as I can remember,
Yes.
this is what Ms. Mento was telling me.
Yes.
If there is another version,
Yes.
I don't know
You
about
don't know
that
about
version.
it, yeah.
Thank you.
And your recollection, it's many years ago.
That's correct,
It's
Chairperson.
about 9 or 10 years, since 2010.
Yes, Chairperson.
And how much room is there that you may be mistaken? You do emphasize as far as you remember. How much room is there that you may be mistaken about some of the things?
Chairperson, there is room because it's a long time now, and I am saying this is what I can remember, but I can also be mistaken that she have not said what I am saying here.
What you are not mistaken about is that she called you and said she had something to tell you, and then the two of you had a meeting.
That's correct, Chairperson.
And the meeting took place in one of the lounges in Parliament.
That's correct, Chairperson.
Yes, okay, continue.
Thank you. And then what then happened?
Ms. Mento was telling me about the meeting with the group. She went to Section World, and she had a meeting with the Gupta brothers, but it was only one, not Gupta brothers,
One of them.
one of them. But
Yes.
she have not gave me the name of this person.
Yes, okay.
Yes. And then what else did she tell you regarding this meeting?
She said this person was offering her the position of a minister of public service, public enterprises minister. That is what she was telling me.
Yes. And did she say what was her response to this offer?
She said, she told them, she first asked them how come that they are offering her such a position, because according to her, it's only the head of state, the president, that can appoint ministers. But then they said to her, no, we will make sure that you become the minister, if you agree.
And if you agree to what?
If you agree that there was a condition that if she agreed to cancel the route of India and give it to them, that route to, is it Dubai?
Is that what is contained in paragraph 15 of your statement?
Yeah.
The South Africa Mumbai route.
Yeah, Mumbai, yes, that is the, what they said. If she agree, then withdraw the South African Airways on the Mumbai route and give it to them. That is what she was telling.
Do you remember who was the Minister of Public Enterprises at the time?
At that time, the minister was Minister Barbara Hogan.
Yes. And then did she take the offer according to what was reported to you?
No, she was telling me she refused flatly that how can these people offer her a position of a minister.
Yes. And then what happens thereafter?
She said after she refuses, then this person got very angry and said he is very disappointed in her, that she is not agreeing with him.
Yes, and then what happened to Ms. Mento afterwards?
Then she said she told this person, no, she wants to go because she's not there to come and discuss such things.
Yes, and in paragraph 19 of your statement, it's recorded that you said when they took her out of the room and on their way to the car, but in the house, she met the former head of state, President Jacob Zuma, and she said to me,
Mr. Pretorius?
Chair, we seem to be offline. We were offline. We seem to be now back online. I don't know what
Yeah.
the problem is.
Okay, will somebody, where is Reverend Stimela, somebody just talk to the technicians, try and find out if we are going to have these problems, whether they'll be sorted out. Thank you. Okay, proceed, Ms. Buthelezi.
thank you, Chair. Yes, in paragraph 19 of your statement, I'll read it out to you. You say, when they took her out of the room and on their way to the car, but in the house, she met the former head of state, President Jacob Zuma, and she said to me, she told him what happened inside that room, that they were. Ms. Mento, in her evidence before commission, she said she met the president while she was still seated, not on the way to the car. What do you say to that?
Chairperson, I am saying, as far as I can remember,
Yes,
this is what Ms. Mento was
Yes.
telling me
yes.
at that time.
At that time, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You also cannot vouch for the truthfulness of this particular
No,
sentence.
Chair, I am repeating, I am
Yes.
saying, this is what I can
Yes.
remember.
Yes, I think the essence of what you are saying is you were told certain things at that meeting by Ms. Mento. It's about 9 or 10 years ago.
Yes, Chair.
As far as your memory goes, this is what you recall.
Yes, Chair.
You might not be in a position to definitely say, if she says something a little different, that's not true, but this is your recollection of what you were told. That's what you are
100%
saying,
correct,
yes.
Chairperson.
Maybe there might be some error because of the lapse of time, but as far as you recall, this is what you were told.
100%
Yeah.
correct,
Okay.
Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom. Then what else did she tell you?
She said, then former president, she told former president what happened. And his answer was that she should not have been worried. And he tried to cool her down. She said she was very angry and he tried to cool her down.
Yes, and did she eventually leave the Gupta residence?
Yeah, she said that the president took her out with one of the Gupta brothers, took her to the car.
Yes, also on that sentence, line 21, according to Ms. Mento, it was only the president that took her to the car, or escorted her to the car. Could you be mistaken about this as well?
Again, I will say that this is what I can still remember, and I'm standing to what I have said here.
Thank you, Mr. And then thereafter, what happened?
Then they took her to the airport. She have not said who drove her to the airport, but they took her to the airport.
And what was her feelings about this whole incident?
No, she was telling me that she was very angry when these people were telling her there in Saxonwold, in the house, about this offer and what is the condition about if they appoint her as the Minister
Yes.
of Public Enterprises.
What did you do with this information, Mr. Bloom?
Well, maybe we should start with another question. We should ask another question. Did she tell you what she wanted you to do, if there was anything she wanted you to do about this, about what she told you?
Chairperson, she said to me when we were having this meeting, Dennis, I am calling you because I trust you. I want to give you information. What happened to me?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then she was telling me,
yes.
yeah. And then I was listening, and then she said to me, please, this is confidential information.
Yes.
Yeah. Please don't divulge to anybody what
Yes.
I'm telling you now.
Yes,
Yeah. And I kept it for me, Chairperson.
okay.
Yes. Mr. Bloom, we are aware that in 2016, when these incidents, or this incident of Ms. Mento being offered a position or ministerial position by the Gupta family became public, you went to lay charges against certain individuals. What I want to know is that what did you do in 2010 with regards to this information relative to what you did in 2016?
Yeah. Chairperson, Ms. Mentor have said I must treat this information confidential.
Yes,
She will, at one stage, come out in the public
yes,
and reveal what happened to her.
Yes.
I take it because I was with her, Chairperson, in this intelligence committee. That's why
Yes.
she was trusting me
Yes.
with information.
okay.
So I took it that, no, let me not go public with this. But then 2016, Chairperson, when Mcebisi Jonas and Ms. Mento went public
Yes,
with this information, it was a front page story of the Sunday Times.
yes,
I then, immediately after this came public, I went to the Brooklyn police station and opened a case of corruption and treason against the former President Zuma and the Gupta brothers. That is what I have done after this thing came public, because Ms. Mento and Mr. Jonas came out public.
Thank you, Chair. That will be all for Mr. Bloom.
thank you. Prior to this commission, prior to you making the statement that you have made to this commission in regard to what Ms. Mento told you in August, around August 2010, have you previously told anybody after Ms. Mento made this whole thing public? Have you told anybody else or made any public statement that she had told you this in 2010 or not really?
No, Chairperson. Even with my statement at the police station,
Yes.
I never mentioned
Yes.
that Ms. Mento
Yes.
was telling me in
Yes.
2010 already.
Yes, okay.
Because now, and you see, Chairperson, I was also very careful.
Yes.
I don't have any leg to stand on. If
Yes.
I'm going public
Yes,
with this thing,
yeah,
it is my word against her word.
yes.
I don't, but
And you don't have the personal knowledge of what happened. You just heard from her.
Correct, Chairperson.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You are done? Okay. The only other question I want to ask Mr. Bloom is whether there is any room that, having heard Ms. Mento say what she has said at the commission, give her evidence about what happened, whether there is any room that in giving the evidence that you are giving, some of the information might not be based on what she told you then in August, but might be actually things that you had when she was giving evidence. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that you may have deliberately put in things that you have had here, but I'm just wondering whether, having been told certain things about an incident in August and maybe having had her repeat those, give her evidence here about those things, may have influenced your recollection of what she said then. Do you think there might be room for that, or you think what you wrote here is really strictly based on your recollection of what she told you in August without any influence from what you may have had when she gave evidence?
No, Chairperson, that's why I am sticking to what I have said.
Yes.
Let me see the date. In 2018 already.
Yes.
Yeah. I am the 13th of November. That's why I am not changing anything.
Yes.
Nothing.
Or this statement was done on the 13th of November, 2018.
That's correct, Chairperson.
Okay. No, thank you very much.
So
Yes.
nothing have influenced my
Yes.
my stand on this.
Yes.
Chairperson.
It's just as far as you can recall what she told you in August or about August 2010.
That's correct, Chairperson.
No, thank you very much. You are excused, and maybe at some stage you will be asked to come back, but thank you very much, Mr. Bloom.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning, Ms. Silo.
The next witness would be the expert witness, Chair.
I
in
thought you were
relation-
going to correct that.
Chair, yes, I am going to correct it. So what I was going to do right now is to request a 5-minute stand down to allow for a change of guard to get the witness into the witness box, and we are ready to proceed. Then I will deal with the corrections that are, as regards proper reference to the report.
Okay, is your colleague saying you don't need the 5 minutes? No, the one on your right, I thought.
Oh, she says 5 minutes to me, Chair. It says 5 minutes. It's just simply for the purposes of bringing the witness
Yeah,
forward.
okay, all right.
A very short break.
We'll adjourn and resume at 25:02.
Thank you, Chair. recall that at Ms. Mentor's first appearance in the commission in August 2018, she made reference to a number of features that she saw when she visited the Gupta home or residence. And it became necessary to conduct an inspection in loco to verify the existence of the features as identified by Ms. Mentor. At the time, being August 2018, appreciating that her evidence related to events that occurred in 2010, the commission took the view that it is more than possible that the property or properties as they stood in 2018 could have been different from how Ms. Mentor had experienced them in 2010. Against that background,
You mean the legal team of the commission?
the
took
legal
that
team of
view.
the commission.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. The legal team considered it necessary to bring along persons with particular expertise that does not reside within the legal team to assist with the identification and to advise as to probability of whether or not there have been changes in the event that what Ms. Mentor experienced in December 2018 did not accord with her evidence. As the team, therefore, and these experts left for the location in Saxonwold, neither the legal team nor Ms. Mentor knew what they will find. So the team was brought along in the event that things had changed. The understanding had been, having been part of the inspection in loco, the team would file a report to explain to the chair their role, what they experienced on the day during the inspection, and to express their opinion based on what they saw, and to put forward recommendations should they be in a position to do so. What they have since, I confirm, Chair, supplied a document, and we at times refer to them as experts, but I would like to qualify that and point out that calling them experts might be a misnomer to a certain extent at this stage, based on what they actually did on the day. So for the record, I just wanted to clarify, theirs was a visual inspection of the properties.
Yes, okay.
Against that background, then, Chair, I will refer Ms. Visse to page 184, bundle D6A. You have it before you.
Yes, I do.
I would like you to have regard to page 185 in particular. Up to page 212. Yes. And from page 213 to 216. Ms. Visse, I think you are speaking very softly. Either you bring the mic closer to you, or if you can raise your voice so that you can be heard at the back. Thank you. Do you confirm, Ms. Visse, that you were part of a team that accompanied the legal team to an inspection in loco at Saxonwold on the 3rd of December 2018?
Yes, I do confirm.
The document appearing starting at 185 to 216, is that a document filed by yourself and your team?
Yes, that's correct.
I would like to refer you
Before we go further, deal with what she does, how she came in to be involved in this. Is she employed by Public Works?
I was going to
Is
deal-
the type of job that she normally does before we go into the report?
I'm
Let's
happy
know
to-
more about her first.
I'm happy to do so, Chair. I wanted her to confirm the report, but if I
Yeah,
may,
no, I
then
think- yeah.
I will, Chair. Ms. Visse, I indicated earlier to the Chair that you are part of the Department of Public of Works team, and you confirmed that.
Yes.
Can you briefly state to the chairperson your qualifications, the job you do at Department of Public Works, and how long you have done this job, and very briefly what the job entails?
I'm a qualified architect. I've been with the department for 10 years. I'm employed as a chief architect, advisory to the department units, and on projects. Basically, we deal day-to-day with projects of the department.
How long have you been an architect within the Department of Public Works?
10 years.
10 years?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, Chair. And prior to that, were you working as an architect or in a different
Yes.
capacity, and where?
Private sector since 1991.
Since 1991. So effectively, since 1991 to date, you have been employed as an architect in various
Yes.
places. Thank you. Now,
So at the Department of Public Works, in this position which you are occupied, in the main, what do you do? What are your responsibilities?
Public Works is responsible for providing accommodation to all other departments. As such, you need building designs and those accommodation built. So we're part of that team. So we, in general, one of the aspects is consultants will be appointed for a project, and we will oversee that design process. And on other aspects, we advise the department on all other user departments on queries they might have on architectural issues, layout of buildings, compliance, disability compliance, things like that.
In terms of designs, is that when a new building is to be built or what?
Yes, Chair, in new buildings as well as repair and renovation buildings.
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Chair. Ms. Visse, I would like to refer you to page 202 of bundle D6A. And at 202, there is a signature appearing above the title Advocate S. Vukela, Director General, Department of Public Works, dated 4th of February 2019. Are you in a position to confirm that that is the signature of the Director of Public Works?
It's similar to what I've seen previously.
The
or
Director
on
General.
other-
Director General, thanks, Chair. Beyond that signature page, from page 203 to 212, photos or images. Do you confirm that those images form part of the report?
Yes, I do.
And if you go beyond, starting at page 213, as a document headed Brief to the Department of Public Works, it goes to page 216, just to confirm that you have included that brief as part of the report.
Yes.
So the report is in three parts. It is the report itself, it is the supporting pictures, as well as the brief sent to the Department of Public Works by the Commission, or the Secretariat of the Commission. Now, we keep making reference to a team. If I may invite your attention to page 186, At paragraph 2.3, you list a number of people there. Could you briefly tell the chair, their names and details are listed, but the category of expertise that formed part of the team?
Okay. Mr. Chapasco is currently the acting DDG Project Management Office. He's a professional architect and has been with the department for many years.
Yes.
Mr. Ndlovu is a professional valuer. Mr. Mpolweni is also a professional valuer.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Paisley is a professional quantity surveyor. Mr. Smook is a professional structural engineer. And Mr. Lotte is an electrical engineer or a professional electrical technologist. And then myself, a professional architect.
And
Ms. Wiese, it may be that it's your disposition, but please just relax, feel free, and give your evidence freely. Just
Thank you.
relax. Okay? All right.
thank you, Chair. The report that is before the chair this morning is that a result of compilation by all these people or one person in particular or yourself. What is the situation with the report?
No, we work as a team through the whole process.
And the team takes joint responsibility for this report.
Yes, they do.
Thank you. You deal in the report then, if we could just very briefly,
Sorry. You have had a look at the report. It reflects, does it reflect the views of the committee jointly or the group that is mentioned there?
It's not mentioned in a document, but every time we worked on a document, we met as a group and we work together on the document and information.
So you confirm that what's written in the report is a true reflection of the views of the group?
Yes, sir, we made sure of that.
Yes, okay, thank you.
thank you, Chair. From page 187 at paragraph 2.4, you deal with the start of engagement with the commission or the legal team of the commission. Are you able to just briefly state to the chair how that unfolded when it started?
Well, we were informed that a team need to be convened to meet with the commission with a proper we wasn't sure initially what it's going to be about, but we met with the commission and we were given a verbal brief of what is expected of us. There a site visit was planned for 3rd of December, and we needed to be part of that, together then with the commission and various other teams, the legal team of Ms. Mentor and the Guptas as well.
Now, at page 188, paragraph 2.4.4, you refer to the features, having said that you had received a verbal brief. Are those the features you were required to consider when the verbal brief was given? What is set out in 2.4.4?
Yes, that was the verbal brief. It's a bit different from the written brief. It's just the last item, 2.4.4.6, is added in the verbal brief and not, it's not contained in the written brief.
Okay, before we turn to that, can we just confirm that the written brief is what you say appears from page 213 to 216? That's what you call the written brief?
Yes.
And that the features you were required to consider are set out at page 215.
I'm sorry, Mr. Law.
Yes,
You-
Chair.
You talk about 213? the original brief?
Page 213, it is a document headed "Subject Brief to the Department of Public Works."
Oh, okay, so you are saying she must confirm whether this is the
This is the written brief that she refers to.
Okay, all right.
And you confirm that, did you, Miss? And at page 215, paragraph 8, the written brief sets out the features that you must consider.
Yes.
Now, when you speak of a slight discrepancy between the verbal brief and the written brief, you indicate at page 1 that the item 2.4.4.6 of your report at page 188 is not included in the written brief.
Yes.
Okay. And that item related to whether to locate an access door leading from the passage into the waiting room where Ms. Mento alleges she sat, for the
That's
record.
correct, yeah.
The task, did you carry it out in accordance with the written brief or in accordance with the verbal brief?
In accordance with the verbal brief, Chair.
Okay, and you say the verbal brief is now reflected somewhere in these documents?
Yes, it is.
Is that in the report? Where do we find what you consider to be a true reflection of the verbal brief?
Chair, may I assist?
Yeah, okay.
If the chair considers page 187, at
Yes,
2.4, the report gives a background in the meeting at the
Yes.
commission offices where the verbal brief was given.
yes.
The detail of that brief is set out in paragraph 2.4.4 at page 188 over leaf,
Yes.
and that is the verbal brief, Chair.
Does she agree?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. You proceed then, Ms. Visser, or the report rather, at page 215, getting back to the brief, the written brief, was it part of your verbal brief, what is reflected at paragraph 9.2, which reads, and I quote, "Conduct a visual inspection of the properties and the specific features as will be pointed out by Ms. Mento during the inspection in loco," end of quote.
Yes, it was part of the verbal brief.
Thank you. And could you briefly then tell the chair the methodology that you employed in executing this brief?
It was a site inspection, so we've done a walkabout and did a visual inspection. Due to the lack of other evidence or like the building plans, we had no further information on the properties, so with the information at hand, we walked around the properties and done a visual inspection of the properties.
And just to run ahead a bit for a moment, at page 191, paragraph 3.2.2, you provide a general conclusion of what arose from that of that walkabout.
Yes.
And could you just briefly state to the chair what that conclusion is?
Maybe before she does so, you told us when you were asked to tell me the methodology that you used in executing the brief, you said that you did a walkabout. What was the purpose of the walkabout?
When we arrived at the property, number 5, Ms. Mentor was not sure whether it was the property. So when I talk about the walkabout is from property 5, we walked to 7, past 3 to 1, in order for Ms. Mentor to maybe quickly identify the house in question. That's what I mean about walkabout.
Yes, to identify what house?
At to identify the house that Ms. Mentor visited.
Okay, all right. And, yeah, okay, you
May-
take over.
may I-
Yeah,
Perhaps assist in this manner. Ms. Visser, from page 189, paragraph 3, in particular 3.1, there is a heading site inspection on 3 December 2018. You see that?
What
Page 189. At the bottom is a heading discussion under item 3. And under 3.1, it's headed site inspection on 3rd December 2018, my apologies.
Yes.
You see that? And under 3.1 then, and pages following, you deal with the inspection and how it was executed.
Yes, we do.
okay, maybe let me do this. When last did you read this report?
Yesterday?
Okay, so you should have a fair recollection of what it contains, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, and it's not a long report, is it?
Not that long, Chair.
Yes, it's, do you remember how many pages it is?
17.
Sorry?
17.
17, yes. Okay, let's go back to the walkabout. You say you undertook a walkabout in order to enable Ms. Mentor to identify the house.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And what house was she supposed to identify on your understanding of what the visit was all about and what the walkabout was about? Did you know what house she was supposed to identify, or you just knew that she was supposed to point out a house? That's all?
Yeah, we only knew that she was supposed to point out a house, and she couldn't do that immediately.
Okay,
or-
before we get to whether she did that immediately or not, on your understanding of what the visit to Saxon World was about, once she pointed out the house, what was supposed to happen? What was supposed to be your role as a team?
We needed to confirm the features in the brief, and if they were not there or could not be identified, see whether we can come to a conclusion whether they were there or not.
Okay, all right. You say she was not able to immediately identify the house. Okay. Did she later identify the house?
Yes, she settled on property number 5.
Okay, and what happened after she settled on property number 5?
We walk around the building or on the south side, and then we went into the house and done an internal visual inspection of certain
Okay, I'm
areas.
sorry. Did you say they? Did you say they went into the house?
We,
Or you,
Yeah.
or you all went into the
yeah,
house? Yes.
everyone visiting the site
Yes.
on that day
Yes.
went into the building, and we inspected the areas pointed out by Ms. Mentor.
Okay, no, that's fine. Then you can take
Thank
it
you,
from
Chair.
there, and I think it will be helpful if you take one Fisher, one
Indeed.
by one,
We
and
intend
let
to
us
do so.
tell us, yeah.
Just for the record, if I may request that the general slide be put up, and we should go quickly through this. With your permission, I'll just seek confirmations from the
Yeah,
witness.
that's fine.
In your report, you deal with the 4 properties that were visited.
But you say confirmation, try and make sure she gives the evidence
I
of her
will.
own more than asking for confirmation.
Indeed, Chair.
Yeah, she must, she has read the report recently, and she should be able to assist, yeah, okay.
On the screen is a document, at the bottom it's titled Annexure G.
That's correct.
You confirm that that is a document provided by yourselves.
Yes,
And this document gives an aerial view of number 1, number 3, number 5, number 7 Saxonwell Drive.
that's correct.
Now, can you tell the chair, after the walkabout, what was Ms. Mentor's attitude in relation to any or all of the properties?
What was her attitude towards all the properties?
Yes.
I think if you like, that might be closer, but feel free, look at whichever is convenient. That might be far, so, but if you can see it, it's okay.
So, as I said, we met in front of property number 5 and went into property number 5 because stylistic, that was the one Ms. Mentor identified first with. But she couldn't recall immediately whether that was the house.
Her
So-
failure to recall, I'm sorry, is that something that happened while before she entered the house, or did it happen when she was inside the house?
If I can, Chair, the whole group met in front of the gate.
Yes.
And the whole group proceed through the gates and gather in front of the house. And Ms. Mentor pointed certain features out, and like the stairs or the steps that were too many, the boundary wall she couldn't recall, and she couldn't recall the narrowness between the house and the boundary wall. So from that, if I say we, the group undertook to do the walkabout and to see if there's another property she can identify immediately with.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Hang on. You said that, I think you said initially she could not recall the house. Is that right?
She couldn't identify the house with 100% certainty.
Okay. And when she expressed that, or when, as far as you are concerned, that appeared to be the position, was she inside the house or still outside of the house?
She was still outside. At that time, we were all still outside. Then we proceed to the other properties to see whether she can identify a property immediately. But we went back to house 5 because that was the only house with steps on the outside.
Yes.
And she immediately discounted property number 3 and number 1 during the walkabout. So we went back and walked through house 5 and 7.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. And you deal at paragraph 3.1.4 of your report at page 190 with the fact that Ms. Mento discounted property 1 and property 3 immediately.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. At 3.1.6, you then explained that your inspection was then limited to properties 5 and 7.
That's correct.
If you can give your evidence as far as possible without looking at the report, it would be great. But if you need to look at it to refresh your memory, feel free to do so. But if you are able to just tell us as you remember what happened and what you observed, that would be very helpful.
I will try, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
And,
So-
and I'm not blaming you because council was also telling you paragraphs and pages, so you were entitled to think she wants you to look at those paragraphs.
Noted, Chair, thank you. So, Ms. Visser, at this point, the process of inspection has excluded properties 1 and 3.
That's correct.
In the report, you deal with the inspection of 5 and 7. And Chair, I shall be guided by you here. I wanted to bring to Ms. Visser's attention that over the past 2 days, the 11th and the 12th, Ms. Mento definitively excluded number 7 as a possibility during the course of her testimony.
Well, maybe what you could do is get her to tell her evidence and observations and what she had during the visit to the property as at that time.
Indeed,
And then when she has finished, tell us that then you can indicate what has subsequently happened.
Indeed, Chair. Having excluded then property 1 and property 3, please tell the Chair how the inspection unfolded therefrom, dealing with one property first and then the second property. So where did the inspection begin after excluding 1 and 3, and how did it unfold?
Without looking at the report and trying to remember, I recollect that we started at 5 and done a thorough inspection of number 5. So we went back to number 5 and into house number 5 to certain areas identified by Ms. Mentor, and asked, well, she gave comment as she walked through the house. After that, we went to property number 7 for inspection. Ms. Mentor did not feel, or seems not to feel comfortable with house number 7. It was too modern, in her words. There was no steps identified on the outside. Also, the configuration inside the house, the column she was looking for, the murals, the configuration was just such that it didn't correlate with anything. Also, she questioned then the outbuilding coming through the gates in number 7, as well as the boundary wall on the left-hand side. From aerial images, we could determine that the outbuilding was present at the date of the visit, or the alleged visit. And also, number 7 was under construction if we look at the aerial images. I feel, she dismissed the number 7 basically and said we must went back to number 5.
Okay.
Thank you. And if then we refer to page 215, in particular paragraph 8, and we deal with each feature in turn as it relates to property 5. We start with the staircase leading to the main entrance. Can you tell the Chair what you viewed on the day of the inspection as regards the staircase at property 5?
On property 5, 10 steps were identified, not the 5 or 6 steps Ms. Mentor remembered. And she could also not remember the column bases or the pedestals on top of the staircase with the columns on top of the pedestals. Should I go in more detail?
No, just the stairs.
Yeah.
Then before you get to the next feature, You say that you identified 10 steps, and Ms. Mento recalled between,
5 and 6, and she was adamant that it's 5 or 6 steps, and not 10. She also remembered the steps, not that short.
now, if you are able to, bringing to bear your expertise, yes, Chair.
Time for the short break.
Oh,
Yeah,
apologies, Chair.
we'll adjourn for 15 minutes and we'll resume at 11:30.
Thank you,
We
Chair.
adjourn. Yes, Ms. Silo?
Thank you,
may
Chair.
Continue.
In your report, Ms. Visse, let me restart. After the inspection was concluded and you were back at your office, did you undertake any further work or research as regards these properties?
I'm sorry, before we get there, I may have missed it, but I don't remember that she has told me what Ms. Mentor pointed, what features she pointed at,
We are getting-
whether they were found or not found. Let's deal with them before we get to the office. They are still at the site. I want to know what she points out. Do they see it? Do they not see it? If they don't see it, do they subsequently do any work to reach whatever conclusions that they do? But let's get to what do they see, what are they told about, and so on. And I said, Ms. Visse, if you are able to tell me the story without reading the report, that would be great. But if you need to refresh your memory by looking at the report, feel free to do that.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Chair. We were dealing with the staircase, I think, before we broke for tea.
Yes.
And you had testified that you witnessed about 10 steps.
That's correct.
You mentioned to the chair that Ms. Mentor indicated that she remembered about 5 or 6 steps.
That's correct.
Is there anything else in respect to the staircase or these steps that you would like to tell the chair that you experienced on the day?
She explained that the 5 or 6 steps that she recollect was, it walked easily, much more easily, a wider tread than the current 10 we were standing at.
Mm-hmm. So she was she suggesting that the steps that she was seeing were not the ones that she had seen in 2010?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay.
Did she, in your presence, describe what the steps looked like as she recalled them?
She described them as a wider tread, fewer steps, and it walked easily, not the short, higher steps that we've encountered on site.
And as far as coloring, the color is concerned, did you hear anything, Ms. Mentor? Ms. Mentor saying anything about that?
There was some deliberation about whether it's white or grey. She remembered marble steps, and we've encountered granite on site, although light in colour.
Say the color again?
Light in, it's a dark or a grey granite.
And that's
Yeah.
what you experienced and you
Yeah.
saw on the day. The next issue following the structure of the brief pertains to the pillar at 8.2 at paragraph 215 of the file. Pertains to a pillar by a large window in a room Ms. Mentor alleges she sat to await the former president. Now,
Yeah.
can you confirm to the chair that you gained access to the house by ascending the steps?
Yes, we did.
And on entering the house, can you tell the chair what you saw in relation to the pillar by a large window that you were instructed to take note of if existed?
We could not identify any columns in the middle of the room. There was a lot of questions asked by Ms. Mentor regarding the foyer and the surrounding areas.
Now, Chair, I'm entirely in your hands. We have prepared a clip, a very short clip, that shows the moment the party enters the room and the it gives a view of the room in relation to where a pillar could possibly have been. In your hands,
Okay,
Chair.
let's see that.
Okay. Can we have the clip of the entering the house? If we could get to the part where we are ascending the steps and getting into the house. Now, Ms. Vese, I would like you to have regard to this clip as it's shown, and if you see anything that is relevant you'd like to point out to the chair, to please do so. I think we can edge forward still.
You don't want us to hear what is being said?
It has been muted. The purpose of doing this really was just to
Oh,
identify
okay.
the features themselves.
Okay, all
Yes,
right.
Chair. Okay. As it, please keep playing. The clip I had asked for is when Miss meant when we enter the house. Are you able to locate it quickly?
Okay, maybe while
While
he
he
tries
does
to
that.
get there, let's deal with other evidence and hopefully he'll be ready
Will do so,
later
Chair.
on, yeah.
Can you describe, to the best of your recollection, as you entered the house?
Maybe if you can, he can be told, the technician can be told what else you will ask her to show us so that he gets everything ready so that when that time comes, we don't waste time.
He's been provided with a list, Chair, and the
oh,
times at which each
Yes.
clip starts and ends.
Okay, all
So
right.
it might be just a technical difficulty he's experiencing.
Okay, all
Thank you,
right.
Chair.
Thank you, let's proceed.
Can you briefly describe the room as you entered to give the chair a sense now that we don't have a benefit of the clip?
When you walk through the front door, you will, there's a staircase on your left-hand side.
Well, firstly, there are steps that lead you to the front door.
That's correct.
Yes.
Chair.
Are those the steps that you say were about 6 or so and not 10? Is that right?
Ms. Mentor recollects 5 or 6, but
Okay.
on site they are 10.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay.
So you use those steps to get to the front door,
That's correct.
okay? You
Um,
entered the door and what happened?
You enter into an entrance foyer with a staircase on your left-hand side, a door on your right-hand side leading into a study. Then you have a passage. In front of if I can, you go through the front door into the entrance foyer with a wall in front of you, with 2 recesses next to that wall, with doors going into the lounge, the room behind that wall. In the lounge, the room behind the wall, there's also a NIS in that room with a fireplace. The passageway on your right, going past the study, and it goes past the guest toilet, the bedroom next to that, adjacent, and at the end of that passage, you get the main bedroom or a main bedroom with ensuite bathroom and built-in cupboards.
Now, you made reference to a study.
Yes.
Just to give the chair a sense, when you walk in through the main door, you referred to a staircase than a study? Can you locate them with reference to your left-hand side, right-hand side, and where they are located relative to the main door?
You go through the main door, then the door to the study is on your right-hand side, and the staircase is on your left.
And immediately ahead of you,
You get the wall that is separating the foyer from the lounge.
now, during the inspection of that room, did Ms. Mento point out where, to her recollection, the pillar was positioned?
She couldn't find the pillar. She remembered the space also as larger and more open.
Did she point out, in terms of direction, where the pillar, to her recollection, had been relative to the entrance door?
If she done that, I've missed it.
Okay.
To my knowledge, she could not point out where the pillar should have been.
Now, on your inspection, did you see any indication of a pillar having existed anywhere in that room?
No, we looked, but could not find a place where that pillar could have been. And the visual clues was such that the configuration in that space, the foyer, was not changed recently.
Please explain.
What did you expect to see if indeed there had been a pillar but was no longer there? There had been a pillar before, but it was no longer there.
The purpose of a pillar is usually to hold something up. So we were expecting maybe a wall, or not a wall, a beam that it under a beam over the column, or even under the floor slab, because it's a two-story house, and it's a concrete floor. So, say for instance, you have the span, the ceiling is concrete floor, but the span is too wide, you will have a column to support that slab. We could not find any evidence of such a scenario where it made sense.
If a house has a pillar, such as the one that she testified about, and that pillar is later taken out, what would be the effect on the house? Now, this may or may not fall within the knowledge of an architect, I don't know, but you might be able to say, generally speaking, or over 80% of the time, if a house had a pillar and it's taken out, there would be the following other things that would be in place for the house to still stand. Or, and if those things are not there, 80%, 90% of the time, it means there had been no pillar. Are you able to tell me anything along those lines?
Yes, Chair, I can confirm if you remove that column and it was load-bearing, then you would have replaced it with something else to make that construction work. To keep up the roof or keep up the beam, you need something else for that if you take the pillar away. Ms. Mentor maybe ask whether the wall in front of the foyer, between the lounge and the foyer, could disguise that pillar. And from our visual clues that we could see, the skirtings on that wall was intact, it's a bit dated, the finishes in that room. There was no clear indication of a new piece of skirting. Also on that wall, you have dated light switches. You have still the steel cover plate on the light switch with the 2 steel fixing screws. There was an outdated underfloor heating control on that wall, which indicated to us that that wall wasn't worked on recently or even in 2010.
So if a house has a pillar and you take out the house, in order for the house or that part of the house which may have relied on the pillar to continue, you would have to put something else in place. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying, Chair, but I can also, I think I should mention, a pillar could also be decorative, especially in a house.
Yes, yes,
But then usually you get more than one.
yes,
At the entrance, you will have 2 built into the wall, but the columns are visible.
yes.
And also the column that we were looking for was a bulky column, a big
Yes.
column.
Yes,
However, we couldn't see on the floor finishes or on the ceiling surfaces where such a column might have been removed.
yes. If a pillar is decorative, as you say, it could be taken out without any problem to the house. Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Chair, I think the technician has found his place now on the video. And
Okay.
I just want to see if we can have the benefit of what Ms. Visse
Yeah,
described.
that's fine, yeah.
If he could play the video. So while it's still ascending the steps, these are the 10 steps you spoke of. Are you able to give the chair an indication of considering the height of the front door, the impact of the steps being 5 as opposed to 10, of having lesser steps on anyone who may have to ascend or descend on the steps?
That one is a bit like a puzzle.
Yes.
Through the timeline that we've established through the aerial images, it seems that the configuration of the house haven't changed since 2005. And the house is leveled over 3 levels. You go up the steps to the ground level, and then there's one first floor and also a lower ground floor. To some extent, those steps going up is necessary, the height is necessary to make the ground floor work. But also, from the timeline, we've established that that portico on the house, that rounding with the steps going up, is visible in 2005 and 2006, clearly on the aerial images. And it's my belief that that configuration has not changed since. If you, yeah.
Yes, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a problem with it?
There would appear to be a problem, Chair. I do not understand it. We
Yeah, well,
will go through the report without
Let's
the
do
benefit of the
do
video, Chair.
without for now, yeah.
Now, you've testified that in the foyer you could not find any, you didn't find a pillar and you couldn't find any evidence of there having been a pillar from your visual inspection. Is that?
That's correct,
Okay.
yes.
You then made reference to a lounge that you accessed. Can you take the chair through where that lounge is located relative to the foyer and what you found in the lounge?
Okay. The lounge is in front of the foyer, so you enter into the foyer. Then through the recesses, you go into the lounge. The lounge has lower ceilings because it's the ground floor, and now the first floor is going over that area. There's windows, obviously, in that room with a recess, and those windows did not correlate with the brief as well as the recess.
In what way do you say they did not correlate with the brief?
They were not featured windows and not big enough, according to Ms. Mentor.
So Ms. Mentor excluded those windows as the windows she had referred to,
That's
as they
correct.
set
Yeah.
out in the brief. And just to understand, does the foyer itself have a window
No.
looking outside?
No, it does not.
Is there anything else about the pillar and the window you'd like to tell the chair that that comes to mind that we haven't covered?
No.
Okay.
No.
The next feature then is a mural at 8.3 on one of the walls of the room that Ms. Mentor set in. Can you tell the chair about the mural, whether you found one, if so, where?
On entering the foyer, you have two recesses, as I said, and in those two recesses there are murals, but they are monotone in color, and Ms. Mentor could not recall them or the recesses. We did find a colorful mural on a large wall, but that was on the lower level. We also found a pillar on the lower level, but Ms. Mentor discounted those to say she never went downstairs, and also the pillar was too narrow to her recollection.
Now, did you overhear Ms. Mentor describe on which wall the mural was to her recollection when she had visited the residence?
I've missed that.
You missed
Yeah,
that,
no.
it's okay. You say that the murals on the recesses were monotone.
Yes,
You speak of a larger mural downstairs, which Ms. Mentor discounted.
yes, I think Ms. Mentor talked about a colorful mural, yes.
And that is the relevance of your pointing out that the murals in the recesses were monotone.
Yes, yes.
The next feature you were to identify is the guest room that Ms. Mentor was shown upon her arrival. What can you tell the chairperson about the guest room and what you observed?
Guest room, guest restroom.
Guest restroom, Chair, thank you.
When we were shown the guest bathroom, we were expecting a gilded bathroom, very elaborate. But we found a fairly dated guest bathroom with hardly any gold finishes in it. And as again, without plans, it's difficult to confirm whether it's the bathroom or not, but with the visual clues, we are led to believe that the finishes are dated.
And the brief as it stood then, at 8.5, required you to consider a door adjacent to the ladies' restroom leading to the gentlemen's restroom. For the record, I must point out that Ms. Mentor testified that on Monday or Tuesday that she had made no such reference to the gentlemen's restroom. But insofar as the brief is concerned, and whether or not she's correct will be confirmed with reference to the transcript, are you able to comment on that particular aspect?
There was no adjacent gents' bathroom. It was a bedroom, and Ms. Mentor requested for specialists to investigate it, whether the layout has changed. Again, the visual clues, a light switch on that wall of the bedroom indicated maybe no.
In the report, no, before we go to this, were there any other features within number 5 Saxon World that you considered on the day that you'd like to draw the chair's attention to?
It's just the comments made by Ms. Mentor. Once we went through the gates, there's a garage on your left-hand side. She questioned whether that was there. She couldn't recollect the garage as well as the boundary between property 3 and number 5. Once we went into the house, she couldn't recall the study wall as well as the staircase on the inside, and requested for specialists to investigate whether there was a change in that configuration, as well as the main bedroom at the end of the passage, whether there was an access door from outside into that room.
Were you present when Ms. Mentor spoke about the location of the kitchen or the direction in which the kitchen
Yes.
is located? Can you inform the chair?
The kitchen is, if you go into the foyer, down the left-hand passage, you will get the kitchen, and Ms. Mentor indicated, and that correlates with what Ms. Mentor recalled. She was sitting in the waiting room, and a chef came from that direction.
Now, does that conclude the inspection of 5 Saxon World?
That's correct.
Now, bearing in mind the fissures that you had been asked to go and see if they could be found in the property. In other words, bearing in mind your brief, did you find any of the fissures in the house that you had been asked to go and establish whether they were there?
No, Chair, we could not.
Not even one?
Not even one.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Can we move on then to the inspection of 7 Saxon World Drive?
That's
And
okay.
with reference to the features as set out in paragraph 8 of the brief. And to remind you, that will be at page 215. That is the staircase, a pillar, a mural, and the guest restroom. Can you comment about what you found as regards a staircase leading to the main entrance?
At property number 7, the entrance is basically level with the outside ground floor. There were no steps. As I indicated, the building seemed very modern, and it is very modern. The entrance foyer has a glass wall, and in that foyer there's also a staircase and a lift going up. There's a lift in the foyer. You go through that, and then you enter the rest of the house. There was no pillar or large windows visible in that area once you've gone through the foyer. As I indicated, Ms. Mentor found the house very modern and probably not the one. There was also, she questioned the outbuilding at the entrance to the earth, as well as the boundary wall on the left.
And regard being head to the features, you had to identify what is your conclusion as regards property 7?
Property 7, regarding the outbuilding just past the entrance, that's visible on the aerial images in July 2010. Regarding the house itself, it seems it was under construction during that time and only to finished or completed in June, July 2011. That we could depict from the aerial images.
And when you are on these aerial images, can you tell the chair more about the aerial images that you refer to?
So, with the questions that was raised by Ms. Mentor in regards with the boundary walls and the steps, we wanted to see whether we could see if there were any changes made to the properties. Could we see on the aerial images whether there was a wall in 2010 or not? Was the portico or the steps there in 2010 or not? Was the garage there in 2010, both the outbuildings there in 2010? That's when we went to Google Earth Pro, and it allows you to go back in time up to 2001, currently. So we went through those images to see whether we could determine, and I think we've got 2007 as a reference in the document. Since 2007, the configuration on property 5 have not changed. The boundary wall was there, the portico was there, the garage was there. The skylights or the roof lights is visible from those images as well, indicating that the recesses might have been there. On property number 7, in 2009, we could see an empty site. They start building work through 2010, and then we see the complete building in 2011, June, July. The building has a checkered board on top of the roof, number 7, which is distinctive, and that's visible in 2011.
Now, as regards property 5 and 7, were you able to determine through the Google images whether prior to 2010 there had been a boundary wall between the two properties?
Between number 5 and 7?
And number 7, yes.
We could see there's a boundary, but we could not determine whether it's a wall or a fence, because if you go down to property 3 and 1, it's still a mesh fence, a wire mesh fence between the properties. But also between 5 and 7, 7 was subdivided. So there would have been a fence between 5 and 7 from the beginning.
Ms. Mentor's legal team takes issue with your finding that there could have been a wall between property 5 and property 7 prior to her visit in August 2010. They have to that extent provided me with certain images. They say depict what the area looked like in September 2009 And they suggest that at that time, there was no wall between the two properties. So I'm putting to you what they're saying. I cannot confirm that the images are from that time. In light of what you have stated, may I request that the team go back and research through Google Earth or other means the possibility of a wall, boundary wall having been between 5 and 7 prior to August 2010. And you may file, even if it's a single page report, in respect of that boundary wall only. Is the team able to assist the commission that way?
We can do that.
Well, maybe if you are able to respond even before that is done, and you feel free to do so based on your knowledge and the research you did and what you observed, you may do so. But if you would rather wait until that has been done, that would be okay.
We can do the investigation, Chair. What I'm saying is it's highly unlikely that they do not have a fence between number 5 and 7, because number 7 was one big earth, and it was subdivided to the number 7 that we know now. So
Yes,
it's
yes.
uncommon to have,
Yeah.
not to have a boundary wall.
Okay, well, that's fine.
And on that score, kindly, when you do file that report, kindly provide as many images as you are able to obtain from different angles, so we can answer this question definitively. Thank you.
We will do so.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like you to refer to page 197. And at 197, paragraph 3.3.4.2, this is where you deal with the Google Earth maps and what you undertook after the inspection.
What page is that?
197, Chair.
Okay.
Paragraph 3.3.4.2. If I could ask that annexure G be brought up onto the screen. Sorry?
Mr. Technician,
Can you call up annexure G, please? Now, that annexure G, can you explain to the chair and for our benefit how we should interpret the date appearing there on annexure G? What does that denote?
For clarity purpose, in front of Annexure G, there's a date, 3rd December 2018, but on your left top and side of the picture, you will see a sliding a bar, and that indicates the date. That's done by the program, by Google Earth itself, so it indicates in which year and month and day that picture was taken. And that's visible on the left top-hand side of the picture. So it was done just to correlate in the large date on the annexure.
So we should take the date appearing at the bottom typed 3rd December 2018 as the date as how the property looked or the area looked on the date reflected therein.
Yes, that is the date the picture was taken.
Okay. Now, for the record, you have a couple of these annexures from pages 203 to 212, each providing a different date at the bottom left-hand corner.
That's correct.
What period do they span? If this one is 3rd December 2018, which is the date of inspection, how far back do they go?
They go back to 18 September 2007.
And each time we see a date on that annexure, we should take it. That is the date on how the property looked.
That's correct.
You conclude then as a team at page 199, and you express an opinion. And in particular at 3.4.1, in this report, and apart from the above-mentioned observations, the DPW team is unable to provide an opinion in respect of the scientific probable existence of the features identified by Ms. Mento. Can you explain what the team is saying then?
What we are saying is we've done a visual inspection without more information. And in order to definitely identify the features, you need more probing into the structure to see whether they were there, the features were there or not. That's what we're saying. So we're saying if we need to proven beyond doubt that the features were in the house, a team of specialists needs to be appointed to do so.
And at 3 paragraphs following sub-paragraphs, can you tell the judge, the chair, whether the DPW is able to assist the commission in that regard?
Unfortunately, DPW do not have those expertise at hand. We're looking at an architect who can do historical mapping, the same with the engineer, also a paint expert, as well as a material conservator.
So the chair is to understand that if the commission is interested in conducting such a scientific investigation as you refer to, the commission would have to source those skills outside the DPW.
That's correct.
You deal with the financial implications of such an exercise at page 201 under heading 5. Can you tell the chair what the financial implications for the commission if such an exercise were undertaken would be?
finances.